Welcome once again to Everything Gaming with Andai. Now today, we're going to be ranking the original Prince of Persia Sands of Time trilogy. There were a couple games before that, but we're going to focus on that specific trilogy today. So, these were a series of PS2 games that came out in the early 2000s, and here's my personal ranking of the trilogy. Now, in the number 3 spot, we have Prince of Persia, The Warrior Within. Now, this game gets a lot of hate, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as everyone makes it out to be. The platforming has been stepped up in this one when you compare it to the first game. The action and combat has been improved and has a lot more things in your arsenal that you can use against the enemies. The biggest drawback of this game is that it tries way too hard to be edgy. And so that really brings the experience down a bit, and I don't have a problem with edgy things as long as it's a meaningful and more mature story-driven kind of edgy. But this one does a lot of things that are superficial to make it edgy, like the character costumes, Godsmack doing the soundtrack. They could have done edgy in more of a grounded and story-driven way that could have made this experience a lot more worthwhile. But I will say that a lot of the platforming is fun, the combat's fun, and, to be fair, this game needed to happen story-wise, and I'll go into that a little further in a little bit. Now, for my second spot in this trilogy, I'm going to have to go with Prince of Persia, The Two Thrones. Now, the reason I'm putting this game in the second spot is because it's still more mature, but it does so in a less superficial way than the second game. What this game does really well is it's like the perfect blend of the first and second game. It finds a great middle ground and really comes into its own with a very satisfying conclusion to the series. Now, to get to this game's story and its story, you had to go through this one. This one is still meaningful and impactful and relevant to the overall story of this trilogy. So even though this one's not as well regarded, it still needs to be played to experience everything properly. A problem that both these games have, though, is the environments are a bit bland. There's a lot of brown and gray tones in the environments, and they just have a very certain look to them that a lot of PS2 games and PS3 games had. I don't really know what was going on from a design standpoint during what I refer to as the shades of brown era, but like tons of games were doing it. A lot of games really went for that desaturated, anti-colorful look in their games, and I think that shows a lot in these two games specifically. I will say that both games are pretty good, I enjoy them. I like them a lot. But I'm putting Prince of Persia, the original Sands of Time, in the number 1 spot, and let me tell you why. Where this one is the poorest experience of the trilogy, while still enjoyable in my opinion, and this one is the perfect middle ground between the first and second game, this one's overall package, as you were, is perfectly well-rounded. It's got a great story that's just whimsical and very fantasy adventure, and it's got a great premise. Now, the combat and platforming may not be as complex or fleshed out as these two games here. This game still is overall the best experience. It's just got so much going for it, from the music, from the combat, the story, the environments even. Like, this one has more interesting and colorful environments than a lot of the ones that are in these two. That's not to say that these don't have, you know, these parts and moments and landscapes that catch your interest. This one just is more solid all the way through. And now, with these three games, overall, it's a great trilogy of games. They're very well done. They were pretty influential in the PS2 era. And if you haven't gotten a chance to play them, I would really recommend them. And just, you know, I know there's a lot of different opinions on each of these games, but, you know, just give them a chance, play them for yourself, and you might have a lot of great fun with an action-adventure series that, you know, was highly regarded in its time. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out a small channel like mine, and I'll catch you next time on Everything Gaming.